What's going on, everybody? Super Saiyan Paul here back at it again. Today we're going to be talking more about Dragon Ball Super episode 130, primarily out of everything, including the spoilers. So if you guys do not want to be spoiled, make sure you guys click off of the video right now. We know what it's going to entitle. It's going to have Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku versus Jiren. If you guys haven't seen the previews yet, if you guys are going to stick around, make sure you guys hit me up with a like, subscribe, as well as turn on notifications. So this way you guys can keep up to date with the unreliable sub box, regardless, blocking you guys from keeping up to date with all the Dragon Ball Super news, information, and updates, as well as the movie discussions and future series. So, with all these things said, Dragon Ball Super is coming down to an end, and we know that with Dragon Ball Super, we've had quite a few arcs. Now, one of the things about this arc in particular, the Tournament of Power arc, is that the main villain is still very debatable, but right now, the internet is in outrage because Jiren especially is going to be defeating Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku in battle. Now, it's not exactly clear as to how he's going to do it like frame by frame, but what we know is that he's going to bring Goku out probably from a devastating attack, and that's how it's going to end. But besides the fact that like little 1v1 being messed up and then Frieza having to jump in, Jiren's character. Let's talk about Jiren's character. Now, what they have to do in Dragon Ball Super episode 130, hopefully, I know what we're expecting, like a major fight, and it's just be non-stop action, but at least in episode 130 or 131, Jiren's wish has to be added to his character, because they've been hinting towards Jiren has this really important wish, Jiren has this very important motive, or something of that nature. And something about Jiren right now, the reason why a lot of the internet hates him, and one of the reasons that I keep harping on Jiren, as badass as he was at the beginning of the tournament, it's getting quite old here. And from the interview with Akira Toriyama, if you guys haven't seen it, there's a breakdown video on Unreal Entertainment Gaming channel, my boy Alex. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. Akira Toriyama designed Jiren from head to toe. He designed basically his personality and all these things, and Jiren's the end-all be-all in terms of what the Dragon Ball Super finale is going to have, of him being the final battle. And his character, honestly, I know even if I get hate for this, I know there's a lot of people that agree with me, and a lot of people that feel the same way in terms of his character is shallow. Jiren's character is straight up ass. Honestly, if you think about Jiren's character compared to the time that they gave to Ribrianne, the time they gave to Toppo, who has more character than Jiren, and remember, from the interview, it's revealed that a lot of Toppo's personality is what the anime team wanted to put onto Jiren, but they ended up just throwing it all into Toppo, which would have made more sense because it would have actually added more to a main fighter in the tournament, especially with how they spent a lot of the time rushing through certain parts of the tournament, and then they didn't in certain parts as well. Like, the pacing was all over the place. And something about this arc, them hyping up Jiren to be the strongest fighter, especially with all of his character riding on him being the strongest fighter, if he was defeated by Mastered Ultra Instinct, that would have destroyed him more than anything, because, okay, you hyped him up as the greatest, he was literally by far probably the most shallow character, or cardboard thin designed, personality traded, and backstory riddled, challenger to Goku ever. If you compare him to Dragon Ball Z's fighters, I mean, there may be a few ones, but none of them necessarily from the main arcs. If you count Vegeta, Frieza, Cell, the androids, Boo, and then moving into Super, if you count everyone from Beerus, then you had Frieza coming back, which still had a bunch of depth from before, and still up to this day, still connected to Frieza. Hit in some similarity, they had a lot of similarity with Jiren, which feels like it was almost, in terms of personality, it's very similar, but Hit had his built upon later on during the series, which kind of redeemed it just a bit. Hit was still a very shallow character in its own, but Jiren's even more shallow than that. He's like Super Saiyan shallow. But other than that, the one that was fully fleshed out more than anything, I would say, was either the Resurrection F arc or even the Goku Black arc. Beerus is still being fleshed out as well, so those arcs, very interesting characters. But then you're looking here at the Tournament of Power, where Jiren was the center stage of everything, and even though he was the quiet one, and he's the strong silent type, it's just one of these type of traits, it's boring, and they didn't really reveal that much to his backstory. They gave him the little Sasuke backstory. Oh, someone came to your village, someone destroyed your parents, and then that made you become super strong. That was all they gave us on Jiren. The guy barely talks, he barely has any personality, and yes, he's super strong, But a lot of people are still mad that he's still getting the win over Goku. And on top of that, yeah, a bit of his character is revealed through the smirk in episode 129. Plus, when the first Ultra Instinct episode aired, and him allowing Goku to power up, that also gave us a very, very slight glimpse into Jiren. But it's really, honestly, it's poor writing, because usually when you go to movies, a movie's only as good as its villain. A saga's only as good as its villain. And this tournament power, as much as I love Dragon Ball Super, I still love Dragon Ball Super. I still wish we had more episodes, and regardless of the fact, it's still really, really watered down because of Jiren. Now, this fight, the animation can be out of the water, which I hope, because if they start reusing animation, it's going to drop it down even more of a notch. However, it does not excuse this poor writing for a villain, or not even a villain. I keep calling him a villain, but he's not a villain. He's like just a bad guy, or the person in Goku's way. Goku's challenger for the arc, the main one. And Toppo was more developed than he was, and that was one of the biggest flaws here. That's why in Dragon Ball Super episode 130, they have to find some way to add more to Jiren's character, and this would be either the few ways of either showing us what Jiren's wishes, which they may show in Dragon Ball Super episode 130 or in Dragon Ball Super episode 131, or through combat, Jiren's going to be talking more, Jiren's going to be smiling more, and Jiren's going to be unleashing more of his personality in this episode. But it still seems like, do you guys think it's too little too late? Because honestly, even if we got small little things like the smirk again, or him having little one-liners, I don't necessarily think it's going to be enough. I think they should have dedicated an entire episode or something like that to Jiren, because it would have made a lot more sense to have built upon what they've barely given us, rather than just throw him into combat. Oh my god, he's super strong. Omae wa Shinderu. And then have him fight Goku till the very end, when it doesn't seem like there's that much substance to the battle. If you look back in all the old school sagas, even in Dragon Ball Super, not even having to be an old school saga, let's look back at this. Goku and Vegeta, that rivalry was set even before anything. They had constant clashes with their personalities, Vegeta being the rich prince who was born for greatness, and Goku just being like a pauper. Remember that? Their fight and their everything in the beginning still had so much depth to it. Even with Frieza, the person that killed his father, and then on top of that, tyrannized all the Saiyans in the universe, on top of the Namekians. So much things built up there. Cell and the androids, these guys were things that were created because of Goku's actions back in the Dragon Ball series, and all of this launched into Goku initially saying, I don't want to come back. A lot of things were built upon constant themes throughout the show, and then even in the Buu saga, there was just so many things thrown left and right, but still Buu becoming a good guy in the end, and him having his own unique personality, especially Fat Buu, and becoming part of the team because he was just that interesting of a character. Things of that nature all really made these arcs stand out. Now moving into Super, Beerus, he has his own cocky, unique God of Destruction personality, and then even to this day, he would even throughout the Goku Black arc, he was like, I am the strongest, you cannot be challenging me. You remember back when he first saw Zamasu, and then Gawasu was like, oh my god, he's a mere mortal, and he's just up to the power of God of Destruction level, and Beerus would constantly talk everybody down. He's like, do not underestimate me. I am a boss. I'm God of Destruction level. I will destroy you. And he wouldn't hesitate to do it because everybody knows what Beerus is about. And then we had Resurrection F, where it had even more from the history of Frieza coming into play, and all of these good things, even leading up to this day, where in episode 131, Frieza's going to get the final attack and maybe become a good guy with his opportunity right there. And then leading into the Hits arc, or the Champa tournament, still a very good tournament. Technically the first arc of Super, if you don't want to count the first two because of the movies. And that one was just very good build up, because it was like the introduction to all these new gods, with Champa being the first one, and Vados, and a whole new team. And it was basically the bridging of everything, because we got new Saiyans, new opponents, a new Frieza race, Frost, all of these good things. That's why that arc still stands out, because it bridged Z and Super technically right then and there, because the first two arcs were still movie formed. And then Goku Black's arc, everybody knows that was the best arc in Dragon Ball Super. It's still undeniable. Was it rushed at the end? Yes. That was one of the biggest flaws in Dragon Ball Super. Still rushed, but the concept and everything seemed like it was out of what we expected from old school fan fiction and all of this stuff, and it still came into fruition in a very good way. Now moving fast forward into the Tournament Power, where it was all of these universes clashing here, and Jiren being the center stage. Toppo had it at the beginning, and then he was gonna unleash a bunch of stuff, but they threw him to the sideline and wasted him as a character. And then Jiren, with all of the hype, what is there behind this guy besides the slight backstory that we got? Wow, he's super strong, but they could have made anyone super strong. His design and his personality, right, at this point in time, is paper thin. Yes, we're going to see a shirtless Jiren, and yes, he kind of resembles Frieza in his 100% form. In a way, that kind of reminds me of that because of all the veins and the buffness, but at the same time, it's not necessarily enough to excuse the fact that he's not going to stand out as a main part of the arc, which was already like in question to begin with all of the things going on, Brienne, and all these things flying all over the place. So do you guys think Jiren is a satisfactory villain, or in terms of a rival for Goku in this tournament? I keep calling him villain, but it's not the case. You guys know what I mean. And do you guys think that we should see his wish, or what should we add to Jiren that we could possibly stretch into Dragon Ball Super episode 130 and 131 to add some to his character depth? Because if the wish was something revolutionary, that would add a lot more to Jiren, and hopefully it would have, if the series was actually continuing, we had a chance to redeem this guy. But the problem is we don't. It's ending, and that makes it even worse, because within the time span of the next episode or two, we have to end the tournament, we have to wrap up all the plot points, we have to wrap up the series, we have to make sure that Jiren gets some way, shape, or form defeated. On top of that, you have to fit in Mastered Ultra Instinct actually getting the spotlight, on top of Jiren being 100%. There's just so many things here at play, and Jiren isn't going to get that much time to do anything, which is bad, because at least he got some time to come back, and we got to see him like and do some of his assassination contracts before, or some of his ultimate jobs, and delve into his moveset and all these things. Jiren is still shallow even to that extent, and that's the thing, guys. Do you guys think Jiren was a wasted character, and how can we fix this? Dragon Ball Super episode 130 and 131 have to feature his wish or some sort of character development through battle. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Smash that like button, subscribe, as well as turn on notifications. This is Super Saiyan Paul, and I'm signing out. Peace.